Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Active Love podcast. My name is Alyssa, and I'm joined with my mom, Heidi. And today we have Jagger, who is an adoptee, who has been kind enough to kind of share his adoption story with us today.
Welcome, Jaeger.
Nice to be here. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome. So, like I said before, just tell us your adoption journey, your how you feel like it's affected your life and your adopted parents.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Okay, well, I was adopted like basically a couple days after I was born. So my parents, my adopted parents, those are my parents. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been with them my whole life since I was born. That's all I've known. I've definitely faced some issues. I'd say growing up more when I was like around being a teenager, when I started getting around more Black people. I feel like I lacked certain knowledge of like the culture. You know what I'm saying? Like I found sometimes it was hard to fit in a little bit. Mind you, I found my way, obviously, but definitely stuff like that. As I got older, I started to notice it more. As a kid, I didn't really, it never really crossed my mind that much, you know, since like I said, that's been my family my whole life. So I never really looked at it like they're Black or they're white, I'm Black. Obviously, I knew like I wasn't, you know what I'm saying, oblivious to the fact of that, but it wasn't really something that I made like a big deal, you know, like it's just, these are my parents.
Yeah.
But, as I got older too, I started to get more curious about where I'm from, you know, because like on my mom's side, they're all from Jamaica, you know what I'm saying? So like that interested me because, you know, that's a different country and everything. Like I kind of want to learn about that part of me. And then my father, they're all from like Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas and stuff like that. And my dad was an athlete and I played sports. So, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to know what that was like for him because obviously like I got that athletic genetics from him and stuff like that. Yeah. So that interested me. So when I was around like, I'd say 12 or 13, like that's when I like asked the question. Because again, with that too, I never wanted to offend my adopted parents either.
Yeah.
I never wanted to offend my adopted parents and make them feel like I'm like turning my back on them or something. Because obviously they took care of me. So, you know, it could be a little bit of a sensitive subject.
Yeah.
You know, but I had found my father. And then started talking to him. And then basically he showed me who my mom was. Eventually me and her had gotten into contact. And then I didn't meet anybody, but like I spoke to them. I mean, I should say I spoke to my grandmother on my dad's side. I spoke to a lot of family members on my mom's side. And I actually plan to meet my biological brother from Jamaica. I plan to meet him in June. I'm taking a trip out there. So I'm really excited about that.
Awesome. So all of them you've just met over the phone, then? Mm-hmm. You haven't seen them. Okay.
No, I haven't met anyone in person.
And this started when you were 12?
Yeah.
12 years old. So, and your adoptive family said, okay, did they offer to help you?
Yeah. I went to my mom first because I feel like my mom is a little more like, I'd say diverse, you know, because she's also from a different country. My adopted mom, she's from Sydney, Nova Scotia. That's in Canada. It's kind of by like Maine if it was like on the U.S. border. So she was a little more comfortable with that stuff. I feel like my dad, I wouldn't say that he was like scared, but like I feel like he was a little more like, you know. Cause like he never really pushed it upon me. Not that he was worried, but he never really like pushed it upon me. Like he didn't really like bring it up. I just always felt like I talked to my mom more about stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. Which is understandable because that usually happens. Yeah. So that's awesome. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to ask. So you're going to meet your brother. Do you have any plans on meeting your birth mom or father in the near future in person?
I do want to meet them. I don't know. It's just a little more it's a little scarier for me. You know, to meet them. I feel like I'd be more comfortable meeting siblings and stuff like that first. You know what I mean? And hold on, let me take this headphone out really quick. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, like I was saying, I don't know. It's a little more sensitive for me to meet them, especially my mom, because like we've talked. Me and my mom probably have talked the most. You know, what I mean, not that me and my dad didn't talk at all, but it's more of like like a man to man type of thing. Like, but with my
Mhm.
mom, I felt like I could be a little more vulnerable with her.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess in a way that kind of like scared me, and I kind of want to make sure like when I meet her, like everything is right, And then I feel like a fear that any adoptee has with meeting their biological family is just like being let down, like
Yeah.
they're not who you thought they were. And not to air my business out with my mom, but just seeing how everything else is with my siblings. Like I know there's a lot of stuff I don't know about that I'll
Mhm.
probably hear from my brother and everything. So I kind of just been like a little bit hesitant with my mom.
So were you the only one that was placed for adoption? Do you have many biological siblings or just one brother?
So on my mother's side, I am the second oldest. I have a brother. He's the oldest. And then I have another brother who's younger than me. And then I have a little sister. I think she's around like probably 10 or so.
Oh, okay. So she's
Mhm.
real younger.
Yeah.
Have-
But
have you- oh,
I was the only one who got put up for adoption. But everyone else is kind of like all over the place. Like my brother's in Jamaica, my other brother's in Oklahoma. My sister and my mom are together somewhere. So,
yeah, and you don't know where they are. How many times did you talk to your mom?
I mean, I started getting like, okay, when I first met them, I was kind of just like, okay, like I see what you guys look like. I see who I look like. You know what I'm saying? That's it. I don't really care to dig deeper. But as I got to like, probably when I hit like age 20, I had a chance of meeting my mom because she was living in New York City at the time, and I was in New York City. But like, I backed out. But then from there, that's kind of when I started like digging deeper and like trying to learn more about her, learn more about my family. And then with my dad too, my dad's side of the family, that's when I really started like talking more. So I've talked to my mom a lot. You know what I'm saying? We've spoken a lot. We've talked over the phone. We've texted. We've spoken a pretty good amount. Like I could say that we're kind of comfortable with each other
So
to an
you
extent.
have a relationship with her now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And then your birth father, not as much, but somewhat.
Not as much with him, but like that side of the family, I have a pretty good relationship. You had asked about siblings. On my dad's side, I have two brothers, two younger brothers, and I have an older sister. So me and my older sister, we talk a pretty good amount. We
Okay.
talk, and my adopted mom is actually close with that side of the family. Like with my dad's side of the family, like her and my grandmother talk regularly.
Oh,
So I'd say
okay.
I have a relationship with both sides to an extent.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Mhm.
So it kind of turned into like an open adoption situation at this point, it sounds like. Do you
Yeah.
have any other
hmm
adopted siblings? I mean, are
Yeah.
you an only child in your adoptive family or?
I have step siblings. My dad had got remarried, so I have two step sisters and a step brother.
Okay. So for your mom, you're the only child?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you like that? Was that both happy?
Um.
No? No?
Yeah. I like being the only child, and then when I got with my siblings, I was still the baby. So
Yeah. So
I didn't
you
mind being the
either
only.
way
Yeah. Either way it went, I was kind of
it was you were good, you were happy about it.
Yeah.
So how do you
Mm.
feel like I'm assuming that both your adoptive parents were white? Were they
Yes,
Caucasian?
my dad is Italian. My mom's Canadian.
Okay. And how do you feel? You said that it was a little bit harder growing up. Do you feel like that's affected you long term? Like now? I mean, was it like detrimental? Did you feel like
Um,
had hardships, you know,
I mean,
because
I wouldn't say detrimental because like I feel like it got to a point where it's like okay, like it's either I could try to prove myself like that you know what I'm saying, like that I deserve to have a black card, you know what I'm saying, or you guys are just gonna like me for who I am, you know what I mean? And obviously, like I said, I wasn't going to be like completely like oblivious to like things involving like Black culture and stuff like that. I wasn't just going to not know anything, but like I wasn't going to just like act like that's all that I knew. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not a other part of me. Like I said, like my dad's Italian. Like that's not a part of who I am too. Like growing up in an Italian family and stuff like that. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So it got to a point where I'm just like, you know, like I am who I am. You know what I mean? So it's either you could accept that or not. You know.
Yeah. So when you meet people, you just say you can accept it. I mean, you can ask her. She's been raised by 2 white parents too, but we live in Utah, so that's a lot different.
A little different, like being like one of the only like Black kids in school. I didn't really.
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that.
Yeah, it is kind of hard.
Yeah.
When I was young, I don't think people as much paid attention to like color and stuff like that. Like I don't feel like that's a thing. Like kids are really, unless it's something that's been like ingrained in you in your household. But if not, I don't feel like kids really look at that too much.
Yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. And two, I think that when you're babies and stuff, everybody loves everyone when they're little, right?
Yeah.
I think that you don't start to see like racism stuff until you start getting older, and then
I agree.
You start to witness it and see it. And I mean, I've had friends say, "Oh, racism doesn't exist." I'm like,
yeah,
that's not true.
I'm like, how do you know you're a white man and all your friends are white? So you're never going to see it or experience it. So I'm like, I've seen it because of my kids. So
yeah,
I'm like, I can tell you it does exist, and it's something that needs to be talked about. But
definitely. And then it's like I feel like sometimes like I don't know if you could relate to that, but like you'll even notice like people around you, like maybe friends or other family or friends of friends, like they kind of have some weird thoughts when it comes to stuff like that, like closeted a little bit, you know.
You always worry about that. Right?
Yeah, that is always like something that's in the back of your mind.
Because I as I've gotten older, like I've noticed stuff. Because like I feel like when it comes to like me being in that environment, it's like I'm not looked at as like just a regular Black person. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not all looking at me like I'm just a Black person because of my parents. You know what I mean? Especially if they know my parents, so they're gonna treat me different. But like I know there's certain people, like if I was just like, you know, just any Black man on the street, like the thoughts would be different towards me, you know?
Yeah, I totally see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is definitely.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, the one thing with our family that's unique is that my mother has adopted 8 times too. And so they have aunts and uncles that are Black. And then I've adopted 4, and I tried to just stay with African American, and so that they would have their own little. So they would have.
We could all like kind of like lean on each other when we like have like certain things happen, like people to. It does help having like somebody there that kind of like goes through it with you, so you don't.
Yeah, that's good.
I wanted them to be the majority in our household because they're the minority everywhere else that they go.
Yeah, so, definitely. I'm sure that helped a lot.
Yeah. I hope it did. And then they have aunts and uncles. So there's we have our own little. We have a lot. We have Asian too in our family, and
it's definitely helps like being like surrounded by like a lot of diversity. So
within the family,
feel completely like by yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Because I never really got that until I went to search for it by myself. You know, until I went out to search for it on my own. Obviously, like because I grew up like in a suburban area, so you know, there's typically not as many Black people. You know, when it comes to areas like that. So going to school and stuff, I always stuck out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never really minded it. You know, like I kind of like being that. You know, especially like because I was always like one of the only Black kids, and I'm really tall. So like I kind of learned to like love it that I was going be different.
And you played sports, right?
Yeah, I played basketball.
Yeah. So
and I feel like that's when I started like meeting more people and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's true. I think that, I mean, I was told when when we were adopting that the boys would feel like they fit in more because they're more accepted than the girls would be in the
Yeah,
certain.
definitely. For sure.
And that's how it was. I mean, the girls were older. The boys both played football. So everybody knew who they were. So
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I definitely think it's easier to make friends as guys. Guys really don't look at stuff like that as much. It's definitely harder for Black women.
Yeah, I think so. And to
Yeah.
get dates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that aspect is a little difficult.
I'm speaking for you and talk.
No, I've noticed that, like, yeah, things like that are kind of harder for boys than it is for girls, for sure.
I mean, it's easier.
Or yeah, easier.
It's harder for girls.
Yeah, harder for
Because
girls.
I feel like guys, like as long as y'all got some type of common interest, like y'all could be friends. Like
Yeah.
like you could be playing ball with somebody for years and be the best of friends, but you don't even know like their birthday and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
That's true. And girls don't really have that. I don't know. I mean, what do you talk about, boys? Unless you're in a sport like that, yeah, you don't have the same kind of connection.
It's really different.
Yeah, it is
The
different.
dynamic is like really different with girls.
Yeah, I think so. So you were they were raised in, well, they still live in a very suburban area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a very white area. We were just talking about that with my son, him and his girlfriend, and a cop coming and knocking on his window. I'm like, what the heck? Because it's 10:30 at night.
Oh, that something like that had happened to me in my neighborhood. I was sitting outside of my house in my car with my friends, and then I guess like the newspaper, like somebody goes around like at night. I don't know if it was the newspaper or just like the mail or packages, but somebody was going around at night delivering. So I seen them like stop for a while and like look at us. Then they left, and then a little bit later, a police officer had come.
Oh, and it was
And
at,
it was just
at your house.
yeah, and it's crazy because I was sitting like right in front of my house. It's like I live here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, and that's what happened with him. They were sitting outside his girlfriend's house, and she was in the car crying because it was her time of the month or something, he said. So she's real emotional. But so yeah, someone called the cops on them too. So he's like, well, my son's like, we can go in the house. I mean, it's her house. We're just, sitting out here. And he's like, well, I wouldn't suggest it. And I'm like, well, basically he is suggesting it, right? He like brought it up. I'm like, it makes no sense that I'm like, why are those people even watching you at 10:30? Why aren't they in bed or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
And they weren't even there that long. So I'm like, so he's like, then it makes me wonder if they just saw a Black man sitting in the car, so they called the cops. I'm just like,
yeah, that's probably all happened.
Yeah, and it's annoying to me. I mean, it irritates me, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me either.
No, I always tell people, people have a hard time when you say you don't see color. Because I always say that with my children, because I see my children, the color is not the first thing I see or I notice. So I go, the only time I really...
Yeah, no, I get it.
You get that? I'm glad you do, because sometimes I'm afraid I offend people when I say that. And I've had someone say that before. And I'm like, but when it's your child, I'm just seeing my child,
I get it definitely from that extent. I think people just get offended by it because like they look at it as like you're not acknowledging the fact that when your child goes out into the world that everybody else is going to see it.
I understand that.
But I get it because that's how my parents always were with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and that's true. I mean, because I do understand and I know that they'll be treated completely different than if I went out by myself. And you learn that quick when we have adoptive families that come through I used to talk to adoptive families, and I said, if you do an interracial adoption, I go, you have to be okay with not blending in the room, because you will stand out from then on out, and people will come up to you and ask you or tell you the meanest and awful things, and they feel like it's okay to do so. So I go, if you're not okay with that, then don't adopt another race. So I go because you will no longer be able to go somewhere and blend in. And you always have to think, if I travel somewhere, if I move somewhere, you're thinking, how will my child be accepted in that place? And because they have white parents, that's always been a thing for us too. It's like, where do we go that they won't, get slack at that?
For sure. Luckily, my dad, and my parents, I feel like they never blended in, period.
Anyway.
They were never really typical. Like my dad's like a biker and he's tatted up and jewelry, piercing. So he never really cared about blending in. But to backpack on what you said, how it'll always just be viewed a certain type of way. I remember one time when I was very young. I was probably about 5 or 6 or so. I remember my dad. We had left the deli because my dad owns a restaurant, so we was getting supplies. We had left the deli, and we were crossing the street. Mind you, I was little, so my dad, he had me in his arm that, and I watched it. And then we're driving a little bit later. We get swarmed by cop cars because I guess somebody had called in a kidnapping report. We thought that I was getting kidnapped.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
But that would never happen if we were, the same color.
Yes.
That's their child.
Yeah, it wouldn't have happened. Yeah. I know. We had a lot of stuff when the kids were little, especially when we go out together, people would come up and go, how did this happen? Because we were white and the kids were not. And I'm just I was like, how do you think it happened? I'm like, I guess I just was with someone else and then got with him. So do you think that, would you have changed your situation? Do you feel like it was a good thing that you were adopted into the family that you were?
Yeah, for sure. I would never trade my parents for anything. Most definitely. I feel like they gave me the best life they could have given me, for sure. And my birth mom had always said I did it because I seen you having a better opportunity than everybody else, and I could say that held true, Yeah. So definitely no. I love my parents, my family, and everything. That's all I know. They raised me my whole life. That's all I know. So I definitely wouldn't trade them for nothing.
And then another question: is there anything that you think that adoptive families should know if they adopt interracially or anything like that?
Learn how to do our hair. Learn how to do our hair.
The first time someone told me what a kitchen was, I had no clue. I'm like, what's the kitchen area on the head? And I had a friend that's like, this is the kitchen area. Make sure you always put tons of oil back there and protect it. I'm like, okay. It is a whole new ballgame.
Yeah, definitely. Did the best that she could. She did a valiant effort when it came to our hair. Mine and my sister's.
Well, the boys was easy.
You guys are easy. You can just
I would just cut it and
make sure that products.
Yeah, I just always used to get my head buzzed, but I hated doing that though. I always wanted my hair long, but once I got old enough, because it was always that it'd be you could grow your hair out, but you got to do it,
Yeah.
So I learned how, and I was able to, but I always wanted the braids and stuff like that when I was young. But they didn't really know where to go for that, So I don't hold that against them, but they really just didn't know, especially back then. I was born in the late 90s and stuff like that. We didn't have all the YouTube and TikTok and people who are actually putting tutorials out there. If you didn't know somebody who could do it, how you would have really learned.
It is. It's hard though to find people to do it, because even now it's know someone that knows someone that does it.
Yeah, we need
here.
Here in Utah, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder for us to find people to braid our hair and stuff. There's not very many.
Yeah,
I can definitely see that.
You don't want to lose them.
Yeah, you stick with them.
Yeah, no, definitely. Once you find somebody who cuts your hair good or braids your hair good, you stay with them.
Yeah. So you say do their hair, and How lotion? You need lots of lotion.
Yeah, definitely that.
Right?
I was definitely ashy sometimes. I had to get. I feel like I had to go through like growing pains. Like I had to, I had to get some jokes
I have
cracked.
to say, your adoptive parents, I can say, speaking for me, I went through growing pains, so I'm sure
Yeah.
that they do trying to learn how to do the hair, the skin. Mine were allergic to so many different products. The lotions, I couldn't use the smelly baby lotion or anything like that because their skin would just go crazy with it. So it was always unscented and thicker lotion, right?
Mhm.
But we learn.
Yeah, definitely.
Nowadays, it's easy. It is easier.
It's a lot easier. It's easier now.
There's so much more like resources nowadays for stuff.
There is. YouTube is a good tool, unfortunately.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you didn't know back then, where could you go to learn really?
Yeah.
Unless you knew somebody.
Yeah. I don't know how I did it, but I used to, when they were little, I braided their hair myself with the extensions or whatnot.
Yeah,
So
box braids.
yeah, box braids. I would do it with them laying down watching a movie.
Yeah.
We would spend hours, and so I was glad when we found someone else to do it, so I didn't have to do it anymore because it's very
It's a lot of
time-consuming.
work.
Yeah, it took a lot of work. So, is there anything else that you feel like they should know about adoption that you feel like people should know or understand?
I feel like parents should know like when your kid gets to a certain age, like let them always let your kid be them. Like let them be them. Like if they want to lean more towards one side, let them do that. Like don't try to take that from them or try to oh you have to like be more like our family. You know what I mean? Like let them be them. If they want to dress certain ways that would maybe pertain to you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Find out who they are and what they.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. This poor child always gets. So everyone says she's just like me. So
yeah, I do get that a lot.
It's like that. I act like my dad too. I didn't realize it till I started getting older.
Yeah, me too. Everybody says I sound like my mom. I say things like my mom, but I kind of it now. It's really funny. Even when I answer the
phone. And that's what.
I don't see that. I don't hear
what you say? You cut out a little bit.
Oh, even just like answering the phone, people say that I sound like my mom. I think that's just kind of happened like naturally. Just.
I'm sorry.
And that's what's crazy about it. Like, even if you're not blood, like that's really what shows. Like that's your mom.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you being on and making time for us, even though you had a really crazy day.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I was a little late.
You're totally fine.
No.
You're totally fine.
Okay, cool.
I just want to make sure that if there's things that you want people to know about the adoption process, because I know you talk a little bit on your, on your TikTok, and if there's like misconceptions that you feel like people have.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any misconceptions you feel like people have about adoption?
Not really. Like at the time I made like my video, when I was more so making videos about adoption, probably like May. But at the time there was like this big controversy of like they were basically saying like white people should not be adopting black children.
Mm-hmm.
And like obviously I have to say something about that because that's me,
Yeah.
And I feel like the main reason isn't like I'm not gonna say it isn't important stuff, but like the main reason is more like culture based things, and that's not really like what it is about like being a parent. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not like they're not even looking at like are they actually a good parent? Are they loving their kid? Are they making sure their kid has everything they need? They're looking more at like so they fit in with other black people, and it's like mind you that's important, but that's definitely not like that's not number one on the list of being a parent.
And that's kind of why I reached out to you, because I think that that's important for people to realize that it's not, that it matters that you have someone that loves you when you get home, and they're going to do whatever they can to you succeed. And it doesn't matter what color they are. I mean,
no, that's the least of the things that need to be worried about.
Yeah.
Yeah. but at the same time, like I give them grace because it's like they're looking at it from how they're looking at it one way. Like you really couldn't relate to that situation unless you're in it.
Yes.
Mhm.
And that's why you speak out more so people can understand the other side of it, right?
Mhm.
That it does work and it's okay
Yeah.
to do it, right? So,
Right.
I mean, at least there's people out there that love everyone and doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
make families with whatever, right?
Like the other day, somebody had comment. I had said something about my parents are white in a vid, and somebody had commented like, oh, you poor child, you're so damaged. I pray, like what, like bro, I had great parents. Like I had a great childhood.
Yeah.
Like hey, I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's people that say that we're like traumatized because we were adopted or ripped from our family.
Like if we were never looked at as like actual family members and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Like I don't
that never made sense to me either, because like those people that gave birth to me, like that's not really my mom. The people that clothed me and fed me, like those are my parents. Like
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's why we do this so that people can hear all sides of it, right?
yeah.
All sides
Mhm.
of the perspective.
I mean, I'm sure like some adoptees probably do have like some trauma, but that's not all
For
of it.
sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was like,
And
I had my fair share of stuff I went through. Everyone does, but I don't contest it to being adopted. That could have happened with any parent, really.
Yeah.
well, because no family's ever perfect, right? Everybody
Exactly.
ups and downs and life gets messy sometimes. So
Everybody got trauma.
yeah,
Hmm.
they do. And
Okay.
that's true. It's true. I mean, whether it's biological or adopted, you still have trauma. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think the important thing is that you're loved through the
Mhm.
process, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And
And
so
that's what I've seen like a lot of parents of adopted children commented, and it's like I agree with that, because what is being a parent? Like, loving your kids, teaching your kids to the best of your ability. And again, like all the other stuff, like I'm not gonna say that it's not important, but I feel like people who aren't even in this situation care more about that than people who are in this situation. Because we all got through it. You know what I'm saying? We learned, we got in where we fit in.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
how I look at it. I was able to fit in, because at the end of the day, I feel like some people may look at it like it won't be just so easy for some kids to fit in. Like that'll affect them a lot if they don't. But I mean, that's like I don't think that got nothing to do with the parents. That's all on you. Like if that's something you're going to be able to do or not. If you're going to be able to fit in or you're going to care about if you don't fit in. You
yeah.
know,
That's something that
I don't
they're
think that's really something to do like has to do with parents.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's more on you, on your
Yeah,
feelings.
like you're gonna have to go through that regardless of where
Yeah,
you're from.
that's true.
Yep.
That's just something you're gonna have to work through. If that's the case.
It's part of life.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll wrap up
That's-
and let you go. The guy that's here probably wants to leave. We record at a studio, so but we appreciate you coming on. And I think your phone froze. Can you still hear us though? Oh, now it's better.
Yeah, am I frozen? Okay,
You
yeah, I
were.
can hear you
We're
guys.
for like a little bit, but you're good now.
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, cool.
Now it's all good. Now it's
All
all
right,
good.
good.
So I'll have Alyssa close up, and I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I've really never met too many other Black people with white parents, like adopted white parents. So it's nice to talk and you guys understand everything.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we're kind of like we're essentially like going through the same thing. So
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like
to relate to what I went through.
yeah, I think it's good to have that kind of support, so you know that you're not the only person, and that there is people that understand exactly what you're going through and
Mhm.
what you've been through.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, we need more of like a sense of
Definitely.
adoption space.
No, that's
Yeah,
good.
definitely. Yeah,
Yes.
you guys are doing a good thing.
Thank you. We appreciate you being on and sharing your story. Okay, go ahead,
Yeah,
Liz.
no problem.
Well, thank you so much, Jaeger, for joining us on the podcast. Where can people find you? You're on TikTok, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, J Crush a lot, Facebook, Jagger Martino.
Okay.
Awesome. We'll put all your links in the description. And again, thank you so much for
Thank you.
being with us and telling your story.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, you guys. Thanks. Great being here.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, bye.